Hi, Mike from the Rural Montana family. Well, I'm gonna do another little test today. I mean, how far down can you discharge your battery? I don't want to get stuck on the road, so I can't do it while driving, but we can run the heater at home and let it go at least until it doesn't show anything on the dash anymore. Zero state of charge on the dash, and then we'll hook up the OBD and we'll see what it really is. And then we'll hook up an EVSE, a charger, that actually counts the kilowatt hours it's providing to the car, so we can see if we come up with about the right results here to see if the battery in the Bolt is really 66 kilowatt hours or what it is, and can we get at least 66 kilowatt hours in it. So let's get charging. It looks a little bit different on the dash now. We have propulsion power is reduced, and we don't show anything in regards to miles or state of charge. We're completely dead right now. I brought the battery all the way down by running the heater while the car is parked, and well, that's where we're at right now. We could see if it goes into gear actually. Well, it still does shift into gear, and it does drive. So that part's still good. But it doesn't show anything anymore. So I also have the OBD reader here. And we can see there 0.8% is all that is left in the battery at this point. So now we can plug it in and start to charge. We are using this portable level 2 charger that is 240 at 32 amps, and you can see here we're showing 0 amps and it shows 235.8 volts and 0 kilowatt hours. It shows 35 degrees. That's how warm the charger is. So we'll plug this in because this will count the kilowatt hours we are putting into the battery. The car confirmed with a beep and with a green blinking light, and it shows charge cord connected. And so we'll see now. We'll see there's about what, 5-6 kilowatts. The car is still on, so as soon as we turn it off, that should stick to the 7 kilowatts, which is about the 32 amps there. And we'll see how many kilowatt hours we can get in here to full. State of charge has dropped a little to 0.4 while I was plugging it in. So we're going from basically empty all the way up to 100%. Let's make sure we go to 100% here. There we go. It shows nothing. So this is the first time we have nothing. We came in with like 2 or 3% before, but we never had this low, but we were sitting here, so it's no big deal. It is a little chilly out, but the battery will now nicely warm up. It shows there about 6 kilowatts, and we're gonna turn the car off. And so at 12:15 tonight, we should be, oh, maybe 12? We should be around midnight. We should be up to 100%, and that's when we can go and check how many kilowatt hours we put into the battery. Then we know how big this battery is. All right, we're going at 32, got 220 volts, or 228 volts. and there's the time elapsed is about 3 minutes, and we already put 0.34 kilowatt hours in. So now the charger temperature came up as it's charging. The charger itself will warm up a little bit. So, but yeah, we'll let this go till midnight. So that's probably, what is this? It's about another 10 hours to go or so, which is about correct with a 66 kilowatt hour battery. If we put 7 kilowatts in, it's about 10 hours to get it to full. It's getting late. I think it's about 11ish. And the car said it would be done by midnight. Let's see here. Let's take that light away a little bit. We got still about 32 amps going at 227 volts. Shows about 8.5 hours at 62.2 kilowatt hours. So this is supposedly a 66 kilowatt hour battery. So we're coming close. It was about a total charging time of 9.5 or 10 hours. So, well, we'll let it go until it stops. Back out here, and so the green light there, I think you can see it. It's solid, so it just stopped charging here a little bit ago. Let's see if we can get this display focused here. 67.3 kilowatt hours went in here in 9 hours and 22 minutes. And so the car has said it's fully charged, which makes perfect sense. Fully charged, 100%. Well, that's what we expected. Let's plug in the OBD and see what it says. And so here we go. The OBD also shows 100%. That's basically what we expected. So let's see. Let's take this out here real quick. And charge cord still connected. Yep. And yeah, it's still cold out. We know that. So there we go. It shows us currently a maximum of 200 miles. And what the heck? What is it with these messages? Based on basically about 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty good. In any event, all this said, so we got a little over 67 kilowatt hours of energy that was delivered to the car, and that was measured by the EVSE out there. So that indicates this car still has basically 100% of its battery, because so the battery is 66, we got about an additional kilowatt, 1.33 kilowatts over. And that is heat loss. So we have some losses as you run electricity through wires. You always have some loss. So I'm pretty sure we still have basically 100% in this battery. Not really any degradation. Yeah, I mean, we put a little bit over 66 in, and we put a little over 67 in. Got about 66. We started at, it showed 0.8 when I left the car, and then when I came back in after plugging it in, it showed 0.4%. So we pretty much really had a dead battery. So I think this battery is just fine. So what can we learn from this test, basically? Well, we got 67 some kilowatt hours in there. The Bolt supposedly has a 66 kilowatt hour battery pack that at first glance seems like, wow, we're right there. Well, if we look at it a little deeper, there is a charging loss. So this level 2 charger well, we should be about 90% efficient. So if the charger reports a little over 67 kilowatt hours delivered to the car, then that probably means we have lost about 10% from what was delivered. So that would be about 6.7 kilowatt hours. So that would bring us down to about 60 kilowatt hours. We had about 4% left. That's only like 0.25-ish kilowatt hours. So really not anything. So, now it gets a little complicated. There's so many things that influence charging, because charging losses totally depend on temperature too. It was really nice and cold, and electric conductors really like cold. So they have less resistance. And with less resistance, there is less loss. So it may have been more efficient. I don't know. It's really hard to tell. Also, the battery pack going at a slow pace of a level 2 charger, that is just about perfect to charge a battery pack. The level 1 is almost a little bit too slow, and we can have more losses on level 1 than we actually would have on level 2. Then on DC fast charging, as we're pushing extremely high power, we have even more losses. So level 2 is one of the most efficient, but still most tests show it only about 90% efficient. And we don't really know, I don't know, is the exact battery size 66 kilowatt hours? Is it a little bit more? Is it a little bit less? So when I use the OBD in some of the other videos, I think I read it out, it actually shows 64 kilowatt hours according to the OBD. But again, that is, that is not really a 100% shot there either. So it is relatively difficult to determine what the actual battery size is. There is always a little bit of a difference no matter what we do, how we charge. Everything would have to be done under lab conditions and exactly the same from one car to another to compare it, but that is not possible. But so now all this said, well, if we have a 10% loss in charging, we would only have put in about 61 kilowatt hours. That would indicate about a 10% loss of battery capacity. So the car is about a year and a half old. A 10% loss is actually possible. Many electric cars have high degradation of the battery in the first year, and then it slows down, pretty much becomes stagnant. I mean, if you look at our Tesla Model S from 2013, it according to the charging in regards to the miles, it only shows basically about 10% loss. But again, that is a little more, a little less, who knows, could be 15%, right? But still, this is 9 years old. And so there is some loss to be expected. But the actual loss happens usually in the first year. And so this Bolt may have had its 10% loss already. That is possible. How does that affect us? Well, it gets a little less range. But if you watch our videos, we're pushing it pretty hard. We're still getting decent amount of miles out of it, and I don't really see a problem there. So if we look at the range of 259, if the battery would have lost 10%, so we come roughly about 225-ish, 230-ish miles of the 10% degradation. And still, we can go way beyond that. If you watched our Yellowstone videos, you could see efficiency of driving can bring this way above and beyond the 259 miles if you're driving different. So if you're driving a Bolt in town, like I've been doing for Lyft and Uber driving, and I got some videos on that too, by the way. But yeah, I can get, on a nice day, I can get 300 miles out of this in town. Not a big deal. So It is mostly speed that kills it. So now all that said, all these tests that all these other YouTubers do, how accurate are they? Well, they're probably as inaccurate as mine, because so many things affect charging. So many things. Some tests have shown lower temperatures are good, but higher temperatures are good too. So it's kind of interesting. But I would say in this test, at least we can see we got pretty much the full capacity in there. We probably have some degradation, but it wouldn't be very much because it's not like we put 50 kilowatts in only, right? I mean, we got over 67 kilowatts in. Who knows if that thing measured it right? You never know. There may be a fluctuation there too. So overall, this was just kind of interesting to see. We can bring the battery down to less than 1%. The car will still go into drive and reverse. It's still drivable at that point. Not very far probably, but it still is. And who knows, maybe I should have driven it and watched it and see if it hits 0% and it still drives. That is possible too. So because sometimes how the car reports something is not necessarily, well, it may not be accurate. And state of charge is measured according, is voltage measured. So they measure the voltage, and according to a chart, this is so and so much state of charge. But that is really tricky, especially with lithium batteries, because they're coming up very high, drop a little, and then stay very flat in voltage over a long period of time, and then all of a sudden drop off again. So is 0% right at the drop off where we're really dying, or is 0% a little further up the line and we could actually have had more? It's relatively hard to tell. It is good for the BMS to discharge the battery every so often to a very low state of charge, maybe below 5%, and then charge it fully again. That gives the BMS the opportunity to really see, oh, this is really low and this is really high, so this must be 100%, this must be basically 0%. That will kind of calibrate the BMS in an electric car, and it gives it gives the opportunity to get a better showing of state of charge. With the Bolt, where we're looking at the miles based on the previous driving, it is pretty accurate, I have to say. But if you do a discharge, especially when you travel, what we do, we charge it up to 100%. Then we drive it, and commonly for us to get it anywhere here in Montana, it's quite a ways to go. We have a high speed limit of 80 miles an hour, so we're going 80 miles an hour quite frequently, or close to it with the Bolt, so that we can make it to the next charger, and the next charger commonly is about 150 miles away. So, and at 80 miles an hour, that eats up all of the battery. We're dropping below, usually about below 10%, which is pretty good, and then we charge to full again and we keep traveling. So that is recalibrating the BMS, and that works on any car. That is not just on the Bolt. And so then you get more accurate state of charge showing, even though the Bolt unfortunately only shows it in 5% increments in the car. But you can look in the Chevy Bolt app and you actually get the exact state of charge there. So yeah, I thought it was just a fun test to do. No, this does not hurt the battery. We're not doing this every day, bringing it this far down, and it was not down there for long, and it was not stressed while we were doing this. We brought it actually down using the heater, so there was not a huge load on it. It was just a slow drain and then a slow recharge, and that is just perfectly fine for this battery. It's not gonna kill it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. please give us a thumbs up for this video. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.